So here's Amanda's Fuji Road bike. This is the bike she does most of the miles on in training for her long distance triathlon. And it is in bad need of a service. The state of the chain is just horrendous. A few of the links have actually locked up. Remembering these bikes spend a lot of time on the back of the car on the bike rack. And it's time for a complete overhaul. So I'm replacing chain, cassette, tyres on this bike. The tyres are getting fairly worn out. And as you saw with that chain, it's completely wrecked. So you don't need that. That's done its job. Same with the cassette. We'll get that off and chuck that in the bin. So this bike's coming up 4 years old, and I'm fairly certain this is the original chain and cassette on this bike. So probably should have been done quite a while ago, but we're doing it now. And you can just see the state of the bike. It's just a bike, again, that gets used all the time in all weather conditions. And grease clogs up on the jockey wheels of the derailleur here. That's a common problem. So nothing a flathead screwdriver won't fix. Look at that gunk coming off there. And I'm just going to give this bike a good degrease and a good soapy wash. It actually comes up looking like new. If you hang around to the end, you'll see the finished product. So this is just a degreaser, hitting the derailleurs, the chain rings, and any greasy sections on the frame. Just using my hands there to kind of as a rag to get it off. And then this stiff brush just to wipe down the derailleurs and chain rings and so forth. I've got the brush in behind the chain rings there as I spin them around. And that's the first part of the cleanup, is the degrease, and then hit it off with a hose, get rid of all that muck, give the rims a good wash down. So this is just hot soapy water here. I've got this stiff brush getting in there behind the rotor, just want to clean everything up. And it's amazing what a good clean will do to a bike. Sometimes bikes look so old and ragged, but with a decent clean, they actually come up looking fantastic, almost new. So again, with that hot soapy water, just cleaning every part of this bike, every nook and cranny. Give it a good squirt down, get all that soapy water off, and then just with a dry microfiber towel, just wipe everything down. So don't leave any smudge marks or anything. So off with these old tyres. Now these aren't the original tyres, obviously. 4 years, you wouldn't get 4 years out of tyres. So we're going to replace both of these. They'll go in the bin also. So a couple of Maxxis Pursuer tyres, a YBN 11-speed chain, micro shift 11-speed cassette. So we love the Maxxis tyres. The road tyres are in every way as good as the mountain bike tyres. You can see the direction here. So these tyres are always directional, so look for that little arrow on the sidewall. Make sure you put it in the right position. Now this particular tyre is a good, what I would call train/race tyre. It's nice and lightweight, rolls really nicely, but it's got a bit of puncture protection in it. So we use this on our sort of training bikes. Trying to put this tyre on without tyre levers, and then on with this nice new shiny cassette. So the micro shift stuff is fantastic. It's probably half the price of Shimano and works in every way as well as far as I'm concerned. So I'm putting a bit of grease on the free hub body here. Anywhere where there's metal on metal, I like to use a lot of grease. It just eliminates any creaks and all the rest of it. And on with this nice new shiny cassette. So this is an 1128 cassette. Tighten her down. And then I just grab the Allen keys and I just go over every bolt on the bike. And most of the time when you put the Allen key on, you do tighten them ever so slightly, so it's a good habit to get into when you service your bike. Certainly something mechanics do if you take it into them. Just these pinch bolts on the crank here. Just make sure everything's nice and taut. And let's get these tyres up to pressure. So these are 28mm wide tyres. And you can see it's lined up on the rim there, so everything's seated. So we run about 80 PSI in the tyres. Now these through axles, they can get quite creaky, so I always put a lot of grease on these. Often if you hear a creak when you're out of the saddle, a lot of cases it's actually coming from your axle. So I grease up every surface that the wheel will touch. And I go pretty hard with the grease. It's a fairly easy way to get rid of noises on your bike, I find. And there it is, nicely seated tyre, new tyre. Nice clean wheels. So there's a thread in there that I'll also add a little bit of grease to. It's where the skewer or the through axle screws into. And on with the back wheel. Nice clean rotors there, as you can see. Lots of grease on that through axle. And tighten her up. And there it is. So look at the shine on this bike. Bit of an overcast day here at home when I'm servicing this bike, but you can still see the shine. And out with this brand new 11-speed YBN chain. So that's the joining link. And thread the chain through the derailleur and over the cassette, and have to actually get the chain to the correct length. So I put it in the small chain ring, the small cog, and I just sort of line it up and work out how much chain I have to take off. Get rid of that bit. And on with the joining link. So these things are great. That's how you join your chain, and you'll hear this click. You ready? There it goes. That's the noise you're looking for, which means the chain's all secure. Just check those gears. Barely had to adjust the gears, and just a little bit of oil in all the little pivot points of the derailleurs and everything else. And on with our new Tri-Fit in a Van sticker, which looks very cool. And you can see this bike looks brand new. Look at the shine on that, looks awesome. Really happy with the way this bike turned out. Nice clean jockey wheels, shiny chain. And there she is. Thanks for watching, guys.